All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. I feel like this song is from Pulp Fiction, but I might be wrong. I'm not sure. But anyway, welcome back to the show. Glad you could join us. Again, we've had a couple people call in wanting to know, where's this place they're going to be broadcasting from Thursday? It is at Rodizio in Henderson. We will be broadcasting there live 6 to 8. We'll get there at 5, free appetizers and drinks. Check us out. Love to say hello to you. Even if you think O.J. Simpson is innocent, I will still talk to you. I promise you. I will still gladly shake your hand and smile. Joining us in studio, that is the voice of the golf guru himself, Dennis Silvers. We're going to get to golf in just a little bit, but Dennis, thank you so much for being here in studio. I appreciate it.
Why didn't you just say greatness walked into the studio? I mean,
well, I don't like to lie on the show, so I would never say that.
I can't believe
if you want me to lie,
you know what I can't believe though, Dennis. I can't believe he didn't call you legendary. He's very. Shap likes to do that.
Oh my God!
I will say this. I will say this. He does wear legendary shirts.
He does.
Will say that. Why don't I go to the phone call? We're gonna get to our hoops guru here in just a second, but let me take a call from Ardell, who's been waiting very patiently on hold. Ardell, thank you for calling in. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
I just have a few things, and then I'll get off because then I'll go wild if I'm allowed any more time.
You can go wild.
I love it.
I like it when women go wild. You're fine.
Well,
go ahead.
Not that type wild.
You know what? Then hang up.
No. That's Dennis. She's very rude to women. That's why he's single. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ardell.
Well, I want to comment on the incident where the reporter was coughing with Trump at the interview.
Yeah, it wasn't a reporter, though. It was somebody in his administration.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, he's a germ freak, and he wanted that person removed because the germs will get him. So that's one incident of him. And also,
can I just comment on that, and then I'll let you continue? First of all, it's funny you bring that up because Meghan McCain today, who I think is a doofus, I will just go out and say it, her father's a hero, she's a doofus. She defended Donald Trump today, which is amazing, and she said she's also afraid of Ebola. And that was her defense of Donald Trump. Look, I get it, Ardell. There's some people that have OCD. Nobody wants to get sick. But there's a way to handle it. Not say, listen, if you have to cough, get out. There's a way to talk. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can we just take a break in this interview? Mr. Blah, 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 can you do me a huge favor? Can you just step outside? There's a way to talk to people. And, Ardell, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see where I'm getting at?
Yeah, but it all revolves around him. So why would he think of the other?
Well, I agree with you 110%. You're not going to get an argument from me on that. That's for sure, Ardell.
And another issue is him being he being a germ freak. There are no animals in the house, in the White House. Now, usually the occupants have a pet.
That is true.
But he doesn't want dogs because they're dirty.
Yeah. I think the only person that is dirty is him. That's just my opinion.
Well, that's okay. I'll chalk that one up. And the last one being, if it were up to him, he'd have the EPA destroy all the animals in America.
Yeah, I mean, ask Donnie Jr., or as we like to call him, Biff. He's the hunter. How many animals has he killed? Yeah, no. Hey, Ardell, you're making some really good points. Maybe you should take over the show. I don't know, but
and one more on that. Since you mentioned the hunter issue.
Yes,
they're allowing lion and elephant parts into America from Zambia. One other country I forgot, but it's enough. 2 are enough because his sons go hunting and they'd like to bring the trophies back.
Yep.
So they get their rocks off to look at them.
I would agree. I think his sons are members of the Lottery Sperm Club. I think we all could agree on that one, Ardell. Always good to hear from you. Thank you for the call. We hope to see you Thursday,
Brian.
okay? Thank you very much.
Evening.
Yes. All right. That was a very pleasant call. Yeah. I enjoyed Ardell. That was very fun. I'll tell you.
He is a germaphobe, though. That goes back years.
What?
Yeah.
There's still a way to talk to people. Come on.
Yeah, you don't have to approach it that way,
here's
right?
Here's my dream.
He's the president of the United States. He's in all kinds of situations, I'm sure, every day.
So why is that call pleasant?
It was pleasant. She was very pleasant.
Because why? Because she agrees with you.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's why it's pleasant.
Yeah, that was very pleasant.
So somebody else who had that same very calm, tone, who just said things that you didn't agree with, you would call them more.
Dennis, I anticipate a little debate going on here between these two.
I'm sitting between the two biggest never Trumpers here in Las Vegas.
Let me know when I can respond to my co-host because he just addressed. JD, how about the last female who called in I left her on for about 10 minutes. What did I say at the end of the call? She actually swore, and I still kept her on because she did an accident. And I said that was a very good call. Chris said the exact same thing. I think it was good radio. I disagreed with her, but did I call her any names? Was I rude to her? You tell me, because if I was, then I apologize.
No, you weren't rude to her at all.
Did I not say it was a good call?
There have been a lot of male callers who've been very, very calm like that. who have been very, very pleasant.
You can be calm, but say something stupid.
Who you have not agreed with.
Yes.
Who you have called several names.
Because you can be calm. Because you could be calm and say something stupid. Can you not?
Dennis, JD's picking a fight with Brian right on the air right now. It's awesome.
No. I want to get to Jameson here, but isn't it true you can be calm and at the same time say something ignorant or racist or stupid? Can you not?
I agree with that.
I'm not asking you, Silvers. Dennis,
this is between JD and Shap, okay? They're going at it right now on the air.
He called her names after she hung up.
No, I didn't.
That's not true. For example, say something very, very stupid and ignorant calmly. Brian Shapiro has a very nice car.
Well, I would say you're an idiot for saying that because you're wrong.
Right. Yeah. But I said it very, very calmly.
I don't care if you say it calmly or if you say something stupid or that's not factually accurate or that O.J. Simpson's a great guy, then I'm going to call you an idiot.
Right.
You understand. Okay, so are we agreeing now? Are we in agreement or are we okay? Or do you want to pick another, as Chris said, pick another fight with me?
We are absolutely in agreement.
I wish you would pick more fights with me. That was actually quite enjoyable. I appreciated that. All right. I'm sorry. I apologize to Jameson Welsh from Drive Time Sports. He is our hoops guru. He's had to listen to this crap for the last 5 minutes, but he is. I apologize for that, Jameson. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you?
Hey, Jameson.
I'm doing all right, fellas. You guys have a lot going on over there.
Jameson, I owe you 5 minutes of your life back. I apologize, but you are our hoops guru over there at Drive Time Sports. You do such a great job. I have so much to get to. I know you've been a busy man. A lot to. First reaction. What was the first thing that entered your mind when you heard Anthony Davis was traded over to the LA Lakers?
About 5 days too late, but they weren't going to break that trade during the finals, so it made sense when it was happening. But the terms have been agreed upon for a while. The pick swaps and all that is what it is. But the agreement, the actual trade itself, the main pieces going back and forth, that was all agreed upon, weeks ahead of time.
Fair enough. Okay, so obviously there's another piece or maybe two pieces or maybe three pieces coming along, but we've heard Kemba Walker. Let me ask you this. LeBron James is hanging out in Las Vegas with Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul. We all know that Chris Paul is not happy where he's at right now. So give me some of the rumors out there, and what do you think is the next piece to the puzzle that the Lakers are able to acquire?
Well, no one has salary to match up with getting Chris Paul to the Lakers. I mean, they don't have the salary to send out for that contract, so that's not going to happen. Chris Paul has a really big contract, a lot of money owed. I think it's $124 million over the next 3 years as he's declining as a player.
Gosh.
So
exactly,
very tough contract to move, and Houston doesn't have a lot of assets to attach to that. They don't have a lot of sweeteners to push that contract out the door. So they made a really bad decision, and now they're stuck with it. So we'll see. LeBron, Westbrook, and Chris Paul were here at the same time. The Raptors were here celebrating their championship, so it was kind of interesting. Free agency starts in about 2 weeks, actually like 13 days from yesterday. So, It's going to be very interesting to see what takes place. There's going to be a lot of moving and shaking. The way that trade was done, the Lakers, if it's done a certain way, a certain time frame, the Lakers may have space for a max slot available. So you'll hear Kemba Walker's name, you'll hear Jimmy Butler's name, even Kawhi Leonard's name. So there is some interesting things going on right now.
So, Jameson, what's the best way the Lakers can fill out their team? Is it getting another max player like a Kemba, or is it getting like a Patrick Beverley and developing some depth around Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Kyle Kuzma, et cetera?
Always go with the big three. Always, 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 especially when one of the big three members is 26. If you go with a big three and then Kyle Kuzma is your fourth best guy, and you can get veterans to sign for the cheap, you go with that. Filling out the roster of role players is cool, but if one of your star players gets hurt or is out for a while, it really hurts your team. If you have a big three and one guy gets hurt, you can survive because you got two other all-stars. You can figure out a way. I'm always a big fan of getting 3 stars and figuring out the rest later. It's a lot easier to figure out that way than overpaying role players. I'm not a big fan of overpaying role players. There's always, every year you can get guys, whether you draft them or you sign them. Wayne Ellington's a guy that's going to be a vet minimum guy, and there's teams out here signing similar type players for 4 times as much. So there's just different ways to navigate filling out a roster. You just have to be very smart about that.
Now, what about buying out a second-round pick who doesn't sign a contract? And where will that – say the Lakers sign Kemba Walker or Jimmy Butler or Kawhi Leonard. How much cap space will they have left?
They wouldn't have any. They would have the mid-level exception, and they'd have all the minimum spots. So, they, like you mentioned, they could buy a second-round pick or two. They can definitely do that. They can also sign guys that don't get drafted every year. There are several guys that don't get drafted that end up making NBA teams. Lonzo Trier being one last year, who should have been drafted. That's a totally different story for a different day. There's always guys. As long as you have the right scouting department, I always feel that if you have good scouts and you draft relatively well, you're going to be okay. And for all the things Lakers have gone through over the last 6 or 7 years, they have drafted quite well, all things considered. They haven't drafted poorly. You could make arguments some spots they could have grabbed a different player here or there. But for the most part, they drafted guys that have showed promises and flashes in this league, if not been better than that. So I trust their ability to find a guy. Hell, even Thomas Bryant, who they drafted 2 years ago, started in Washington most of this year. So they do have the capability of finding a sleeper in the second round. So it remains to be seen. But I think that's probably going to be their option. But Darius Baisley, he's the guy that he's a high school player. He worked for New Balance for a year. He is a clutch management client, and if he does not get drafted, I would assume he'd be on the Lakers right after the draft.
So Jameson, JD mentioned, of course, Kawhi Leonard. The Toronto Raptors captured their first ever NBA title in franchise history, but now, of course, the focus shifts to Kawhi and his future and what he does. In your opinion, and I know there's going to be tremendous speculation going on here in the coming weeks. What do you think Kawhi Leonard does? Do you think that he ends up staying in Toronto?
Oh, man, it's tough. I mean, at the end of the day, he can do whatever he wants because he got them a championship. Mm-hmm. If he leaves, it's all good. If he stays, he's a hero that stayed. Even if it's for a year or two, he's still a hero. So it's very.
Can I interject? Can I? Sorry, James. I just want to I do have some inside information on that. I spoke to someone who coached him in college. Okay, and that person tells me he is going to sign a 1-year deal, and it is from a very good source. Okay, so that's what I heard, Jameson, and I think that makes sense. Sign a 1-year deal, see how the year goes.
Coached him in college.
Well,
Steve Fisher?
There's plenty of coaches. There's plenty. I didn't say the head coach. Somebody who coached him. I didn't say the head coach.
You're basically saying someone else on the staff between 2009 and 2011.
Somebody I spoke to that was on his staff said that they had a conversation with him. He said he's going to most likely sign a 1-year deal. So that's that. So speaking of this gentleman by the name of Kawhi Leonard, I saw some pictures of him playing $5 roulette at just a regular roulette wheel in Las Vegas. All of his, a lot of his teammates are partying it up and going crazy, and a lot of them are, fashionable, and they're playing high stakes limit tables. And Kawhi Leonard is seen at a minimum table playing roulette. Isn't this just typical Kawhi Leonard? He just doesn't do things like everybody else.
He does him, and you got to respect it. He's a guy that does things how he likes to do it. He doesn't fall into the norms or the traps of trying to be popular or trying to go viral. He just does him, and I like that. We need more of that with a lot of the players that we have in this era. He's very comfortable in his own skin, and he doesn't care what anyone else is doing. As long as he's having fun, he's doing what he wants to do, he's going to continue to do it. But that doesn't surprise me at all. It's the same guy that's had the same car for like 20 years or whatever.
Yeah, the 97 Tahoe.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I would rather have a guy like this in the NBA that never gets into trouble, that is a hard worker, that is a gym rat, than somebody who's, in and out of jail making a lot of mistakes. No mistake about it.
You know what's crazy about Kawhi is that he was playing $5 roulette, but then he also bought out the entire VIP section.
I heard that. Yeah, so he does things on the opposite end of the spectrum.
That's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, he does things opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah, who knows how much money he had to fork up for that. But what did you make of what some of these Raptors players were doing over the weekend? I mean, we saw some of these people at I know Pat McCaw was partying it up at the Palms with Marshmello. I know that some of the teams split up a little bit. And what about this Pat McCaw story? It's just bizarre. It's crazy, isn't it? He was certainly a part of the Golden State Warriors championship. There's no doubt about this. But let's just call it what it is. He really didn't do much of anything, and he earns an NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. He didn't feel appreciated by the Warriors. He felt that they could have gave him some more money. I thought he was a fool for leaving there, but hey.
Me too. Me too. Perfect scenario. Yeah, I agree.
So he's basically a good luck charm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it worked out. But here's the thing. Like, when you're on a team like the Warriors and you leave mysteriously, even players on the team are like, hey, like, what's going on?
Jameson, I'm sorry. Jameson, I'm sorry. Chris Wynn's phone just decided to ring. Go ahead, Chris. Answer it.
This is his first time ever in studio, clearly.
Sorry about that, Jameson. Well, no, answer it. Let me answer it on the air. Answer it. Go ahead, put it on speakerphone. Let's talk to the buffoon that decided to call you live on the radio when we're talking to Jamison Welsh, our hoops guru. Who is that? Put him on speakerphone. Is it your dad? Is it your mom? What is more important than our radio show?
It's my old buddy from Orlando. I don't think he understands the time change.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, he's calling you again. Go ahead, answer it. Go ahead.
He's asking about Terrence Ross.
Go ahead.
And where he's going to sign Jamison.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a standard conversation.
Jamison, for the first 5 minutes, you had to listen to us talk about Donald Trump, and now Chris Wynn is getting constant phone calls. This guy is obsessed and has called Chris 5 times, and Chris doesn't know how to put his phone on silent.
I've hung out with Chris probably 75 times. He's never taken more than 2 calls in a row. This is a real coincidence.
Chris knows how to play a caveman Keno machine, but he does not know how to put a cell phone on silent.
All right, Jamison, so how do the Pelicans do in this trade? Are they coming to Vegas? And do they have the best defensive backcourt in the NBA now with Peyton, Ball, Hart, and Drew Holiday?
We don't know if Peyton's going to be there, but if Drew Holiday does stay, if they don't deal him, and if they do keep Lonzo Ball, they do have, on paper, the best defensive backcourt in the league because you have 2 guys that can really get after it. However, what does take place is this. They have a lot of assets. They have a lot of different things they can go, a lot of different directions they can go into. It just really depends on how they want to build this team around Zion. I mean, luckily for them, they have a lot of time. They don't have to rush to do anything crazy or drastic. I'm curious to see what they do with the number 4 pick, though. They have a lot of options with that pick. They can trade back. They can pick a guy at 4. They can go get an established player and accelerate this process. So I'm very curious to see what they do. I think the draft starts at 4, actually. I think what they do with that pick kind of starts off the draft. We know who's going 1, 2, and 3. The 4th pick really starts how things are going to go.
So would Bull be a wise decision for them at number 4?
No. You can trade back and get him in the team. There's too much risk there, too many question marks. I think he's actually going to be a good player, but there's just too much risk with his body, his work ethic. Just not a good situation.
Of course, once Lonzo Ball gets traded to New Orleans, naturally, the media, again, is somehow focused on his father. I'm always fascinated by this, Jamison, given that, Lonzo's just trying to get his career started. He's trying to, carve his own path. And then we have to deal with more LeVar Ball nonsense in the media. I wanted to kind of get your reaction as to, the deal from that aspect of it, of having Lonzo now head to New Orleans and kind of restart his career again.
So here's the funny part. When the trade got announced, his youngest son was playing in the Drew League, and, of course, he was there watching his son. So, of course, when it got announced, everyone's going to go up to him and ask him how he feels. So, of course, there's cameras everywhere, and he said what he said. As long as people keep putting him on television, I can't fault him. We all know what LeVar is right now. LeVar is a salesman. He's a guy that he likes to entertain. This is what he does.
Better version of Donald Trump.
Nah, because here's the thing.
A different version, but the same strategy.
Similar strategy, but there's no hate behind his stuff.
Right.
No hatred.
I like that. A little Jamison Welsh cheap shot on Trump. I like that.
But there's no hatred. It's, LeVar's all in promoting his family and himself.
I agree with that.
And he does take on the biggest person, the biggest stage whenever he can. Jamison, LaMelo Ball, he's 6'7" or 6'8" now. He's going to get to play some really good players in the Australian League. He just signed that deal. Does he have a chance to be the top pick in the 2020 draft?
Top pick is going to be tough. That I don't know about top pick. He's going to be very good. He's going to be a top 5 pick for sure. Top pick, I think there's a lot of red flags around his camp and, of course, around his brother. The problem with his brother is this. His brother was not able to stay healthy the first 2 years, and he's going to be unfairly judged with that information. People are going to think the same thing about him. He's not going to get the benefit of the doubt like he would be if he went the traditional route or if he had a different last name. Mm-hmm. He's going to be judged against what his brother has done and also with his dad, that whole situation. Because from what I've heard is that his dad was kind of a pain in the butt to the Lakers, and that's part of the reason why he got moved in this whole situation. So it wouldn't surprise me if he gets penalized unfairly because of other situations. But on the court, he can play. He's a killer on the court. He can really go, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Jamison Walsh from Drive Time Sports. Jamison, listen, if a big trade comes down in the next 24 hours, 48 hours, whenever it is, we'd love to have you on again. Of course, you join us every week, but if anything happens, my man, we want to get you on again. Great job as always. Always appreciate it, Jamison. Thank you so much.
Not a problem, guys. Thanks for having me as always.
All right, there you go. Jamison Welsh from Drive Time Sports. Excellent job as always, our hoops guru. All right, so when we come back, this is going to be a fun segment. We are joined by the man himself who has been waiting so patiently to interject in every conversation. That is Dennis Silvers, the golf guru. I'm giving Dennis a hard time today. Dennis, we're going to take a break. No, hold on. We got to take a break first, Dennis. He's chomping at the bits. I love it. I love it.
You need some relevant commentary here. Jesus, get the break over with, will you?
I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. The golf guru, Dennis Silvers, will be joining us on the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.